Welcome back to Mac Talks Football, and it's match day 22 in the Serie A, and the league is so tight. I keep on saying this about every league, but this year every league from in Europe is really tight. I mean, there if you look at Serie A, there are three teams at the moment fighting out for the title. 7 point difference between Napoli at top, Inter at second, at Atalanta at third. Inter have a game in hand as they are 3 points behind Napoli, so they sort of have an advantage. Atalanta, unfortunately for them, they have sort of fallen down last four games, just three draws and a loss. They have after finishing off that long winning streak, they have sort of dried down. They really need to get a win to come back into the contention for the title. You go down from fourth till eighth, and the six teams are fighting out for those European places. Just 8 points difference between all of them, and then further down, the bottom 10 are in the relegation zone. I mean, that's how tight the league is. From Torino right until Monza at 20, all of them are in problem of that relegation. So let's go ahead and see what happens this weekend and make our prediction. The first game, it is Torino versus Cagliari. It is 11th versus 13th. It's just a 2 point difference between both these teams. Both these teams are not really in a good form, especially Torino. They have not won in their last 5 games, one defeat and 4 draws, so they are not really playing up to their potential, and that is why they've been sucked down to this relegation battle, playing against a Cagliari side who have been quite inconsistent. 2 defeats, two wins and a draw in their last 5 games, so you really don't know which Cagliari is going to turn up. I think this game is going to be quite an exciting one. It's a late night game on Friday night. I think there are going to be goals in this game, but I don't see a result out of this. I think it's going to end up in a draw. I'm going for a 1-1 draw between Torino and Cagliari. Up next, it's a Como versus Atalanta. It is 13 versus a third. Como, they won last week, and it's an important win for them. That has put them, onto 13th position. 2 wins out of their last 5 games. There are 2 defeats as well, so they have been quite inconsistent, if I'm being very honest with you. Playing against an Atalanta side who, as I said, they have not won in their last 4 games since that winning streak has come to a halt. 3 draws and then a defeat last weekend. They were magnificent in their Champions League game in midweek, so they would hope that they can continue that form into Serie A as well. I think this game is going to be very exciting. I think there are going to be goals in this game, and I think it's going to be quite an open game because both these teams like to play attacking football, and I think somehow, some way, Atalanta are going to make it in the end. I think because they know how important this game is, and I think they are going to give their all. I think Como are going to play really good as well, but I just don't think they are going to be able to hold off Atalanta for much long. I'm going for a very close 2-1 win for Atalanta. Then it's a big game. It is Napoli versus Juventus. It is first versus a fifth. Napoli have been really impressive the way that they have come back. They had a bit of a drop. They had a 7 point lead, then they had a drop, but they have now come back and they're starting to win games quite easily. They are playing against a Juventus side who are undefeated still in the league, but their performances have been dreadful. 3 draws out of the last 5 games. The other 2 have been wins. They drew over the midweek in the Champions League as well. It was another bad performance by Juventus. They won last weekend against Milan, but as I said, I was not really impressed with that performance. I think it's going to be quite an easy win. I think this could turn out to be a very bad night for Juventus, if I'm being very honest with you. Napoli are in a really good form, and the way that they play football, I think it will be very hard for Juventus to control them. I really think they could, Napoli could end up humiliating Juventus, but I'm going to stay on the safe side, and I'm going to be humble in my prediction. I'm going for a very easy, very convincing 2-0 win for Napoli. Up next, it's Empoli versus Bologna. It is 15th versus 7th. Now Empoli, they have like 4 defeats in their last 5 games, just 1 draw out of the last 5 games. So they are in a really bad situation at the moment. They are playing against a Bologna side who have won 3 out of their last 5 games, and they are looking to get into those European places yet again, just like they did last year. And I think their performances have been quite good as well. And I think in this game, I just don't see any winner apart from Bologna. Empoli are struggling really much, and I think Bologna are going to take advantage of that, and I think they are going to win it quite convincingly as well. I'm going for another 2-1 win for Bologna. Starting of Sunday, it is Milan versus Parma. It is 8th versus 16. Now Milan, they lost after like a month and a half in Serie A last weekend against Juventus. They could have easily drawn that game as well, if I'm being very honest with you. They are playing against a Parma side who themselves are quite inconsistent. They are 16 in the table. They are at the risk of getting dragged into those relegations places, if I'm being very honest with you. I think Milan are going to look at this game and they're going to see 3 points written all over it. They are at home as well, and their performances have been quite good as well. They were good in the Champions League in the midweek as well, and I think that's going to continue in the Serie as well. I think it will be an easy win for Milan. I'm going for a 2-1 win for Milan. Then it's the two teams who are not involved in any of the chaos, whether it's relegation, whether it's European football, and they are not involved in any of that. They're just there. It is Udinese versus Roma. It is 10th versus 9th. Udinese, they lost after a long time last weekend. Before that, they were draws and wins, but they were not really able to get any points. They are playing against the Roma side, who have been on their best run of form this season, undefeated in their last 5 games, 3 wins out of the last possible 5 games. So they are doing, they are playing really good. Ranieri is finally starting to set his group, and the results are coming in for Roma. And if they continue, maybe they can get into those the fight for the European competition right at the end. But at the moment, they are out of it. I think this is going to be an easy win for Roma, if I'm being very honest with you. Udinese are a very tough side to beat, but the way that Roma are playing, with the confidence that they have, I think they are going to get the job done. I'm going for a very hard fought, very a very physical 1-0 win for Roma. Then it's Lecce versus Inter. It is a 17th versus a 2nd. Lecce have just 1 win in their last 5 games, 3 defeats, and it's showing that is why they are 17th in the table. They are not playing that. They are playing really good football. Lecce are one of those teams that unfortunately are not getting the results that they should get. I think if you look at the way that Lecce have played, even though they are 17, majority of their games they could have easily won those games, or they could have easily drawn that games. They are just not able to finish off of the games, and that is why they are in that position. Playing against an Inter side who are second in the table, 4 wins in their last 5 games, and the other one was a draw. So they are really fighting it out for that title. They are second in the table, and they have a game in hand. They are 3 points behind, so they know how important this game is. I think as much as Lecce are going to try and work really hard, I just don't see Inter not winning this game. I think it will be a very, very close game, just because Inter are an away side. They won over the weekend, over the midweek as well in the Champions League, so that confidence is going to come in this game as well. I'm going for a very hard for 2-0 win for Inter. Moving on, it is a big game. It is Lazio versus Fiorentina. It is 4th versus 6th. Lazio have won 3 out of their last 5 games. They are starting to make that a 4th position. At theirs. They are starting to create a gap. Although the gap is like just at 3 points. 3 points is a big a gap in Serie A this season. So they would be really happy with their performance. They are playing against a Fiorentina side who are all over the place. Unfortunately, that incident, that during the Inter game has really screwed up Fiorentina. They have not won in over 2 months in Serie A, and everything has gone downhill since that incident has took place. It's another tough game for them, and they are going away as well. And with Lazio in such a good form, I just don't see any other result apart from a Lazio win. And to be very honest, I don't think it's going to be tough for them as well. I think Lazio are going to win, and they are going to win quite convincingly as well. I'm going for a 3-1 win for Lazio. And then it's a massive game right at the bottom of the table. It's Venezia versus Verona. It is 19th versus 18th. There's a 4-point difference between these two teams. And if Venezia are able to get a win, they can close that gap to just 1 point. And they, drag Verona along with themselves into that relegation battle. Venezia, they've just won once in their last 5 games. So have Verona as well. Both these teams coming into this game with not that much of of a good form. I think it will be a very hard game. I think it will be a very close game as well. It's a very hard one to predict, if I'm being very honest with you, and that is why I'm gonna stay on the fence in this game. I just don't see a winner out of this game. I see a lot of goals, but I just don't see a winner. I'm going for a 2-2 draw between Venezia and Verona. And the final game in Matchday 22 in Serie A is at Genoa versus Monza. It is 12th versus 20th. There's a 10-point difference between both these teams. Genoa, they have won 2 out of their last 5 games, 2 defeats and a draw. Monza, on the other hand, 4 defeats out of the last 5 games. So it is like, if you go by the paper and the way that both teams are coming to this game, I really think it's going to be an easy win for Genoa. Monza can give them a surprise, but I just don't think it's going to happen. Genoa are at home as well, so I think it will be an easy win. I don't see much goals in this game. I'm going for a very close 1-0 win for Genoa. And with that, my predictions for match day 22 in Serie A are complete. Every weekend, as I keep on saying, that the things are so complicated. They're so close. After every weekend, the table shifts completely, and I'm sure it's going to happen this weekend as well. Let me know what you guys thought of my predictions in the comment section below as well. And like the video, share it as well. Click on the notification bell, and of course, subscribe to the channel. We are trying to get to 500 subscribers before the end of February, so please go ahead and subscribe and help the channel out. Until next time, bye bye.